occasion. It's a cause for celebration. Bring down the banner. Pop the little poppity pop. What do they call it? Pew! Like
poppers.
Poppers. Throw the poppers at the kids and put the whistle tips on your cars because it's a big occasion. This is podcast 399. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Is you're supposed to celebrate right before you hit like an even number.
Yeah, because then the tax hits, and then it's like 40108.
Yeah. So it's podcast 399, everybody. Welcome back to the Rage Select podcast right here on Rage Select. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mike. And with 3 easy payments of $99.95, you too can get this much.
Actually, I mean, you don't have to pay. Don't listen to Michael. Don't send Michael any checks. When he talks about his P.O. box, that's not associated with Jeff from Rage Select. I didn't set that up. That's all him, baby. Like, you gotta...
It goes to the Patreon for that.
Yeah, that's right. The Patreon. That one goes to me. Don't listen to Michael with his P.O. box stuff. I don't know why he keeps bringing it up. I keep trying to tell him not to, but we're doing this remote today, so like,
Send it to P.O. box, whatever.
So Michael, we have a lot of, I feel like this week the theme is new. We got a lot of new announcements, new stuff to talk about.
It came out of nowhere too. Like I woke up and somebody tweeted out, they're like, I guess E3 has just happened today. And I was just like, what's happening?
Yeah, it's a shitload of like new announcements, new stuff, all kinds of new like release dates and stuff. But before we get to that, this is that part of the podcast where we talk about like what we did last week, and I'm here to give you, because the listeners they don't know, this is like in the future for them, but you and me, we're talking right now, so you have a choice. I experienced one media product last week that was delightful, and I experienced one media product that was a pile of stinking garbage. Which one would you like to hear about first? Because I am going to talk about both of them because it's my fucking podcast. So,
well, I've heard the second one in great length personally, so let's start with the other one for now.
You like the good news first? You're one of the good news first kind of guys. Okay.
News first.
So last week I was bebopping around on. I finished the audiobook I was listening to on Audible, and I was watching this YouTube video. I watched this 5-hour YouTube video from this YouTuber called JXE about like why the Chris Chibnall run on Doctor Who was a problem. And throughout he was talking about the Doctor Who audio dramas, and he mentioned that some of them were on Spotify. And it turns out that there's a bunch of those old like Big Finish Doctor Who audio dramas that are on Spotify. I don't really know. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what those are?
What, audio dramas?
Well, so the thing is
the Doctor Who ones.
Well, the Doctor Who ones are a little different in that, like, a lot of doctors, like Colin Baker was the 7th Doctor, I think, and he had a really bad. That was like when the BBC was trying to tank Doctor Who, so he had like a really bad run. But then later on, like over the years, he did just like all these audio dramas that were basically Doctor Who episodes that were just in audio format, and they were all like way better. Or Paul McGann, who was he was the 8th. Okay, so no, Colin Baker was a 6th. Paul McGann, who was the 8th Doctor, who had that like one TV special and he got boned. It was like a Fox special movie.
Oh, okay.
Like he went on to do a whole bunch of audio dramas that were way better. It was just like, oh, let's do a bunch of Doctor Who episodes, but we're going to do it all audio, so we don't have to film anything, so it's cheap. We just get the guy to come in. But they're all done by the actual voice actors who played like those doctors. So they do have a certain amount of gravitas, and they're good, like, because they're not just like audio books. It's like, look out, Doctor, that Yeti's coming right for us. It's like an old radio serial, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like somebody reading a book. It's like somebody acting out. But then they always make sure to be just like, what did you find over there? Is it a trap door? It looks like a trap door. Let's go in that trap door. And there's a shitload of them on Spotify, like for free. Don't have to pay. I went through all of the Paul McGann ones, and then I just went all the way back, and like the very first one in that list that came out, I think it's like in like 1990 or 2000 or something like that, is like Sylvester McCoy, who was the 7th Doctor, Colin Baker, who was the 6th Doctor, and Peter Davison, who was the 5th Doctor, like having a multi-doctor adventure. And it was like, oh, this is great. They're super easy to listen to. The only problem is that Spotify, like if you exit out of an album on Spotify and then go to listen to, like, let's say that you're the kind of person who likes to listen to rain noises when you go to sleep. And so you go to a different playlist and you start playing them. Spotify really doesn't have any feature to, like, hey, go back to what I was just listening to. Go back to track 56 in album 40 of the Big Finish Doctor audio dramas. So you literally have to write down on a piece of paper, like, okay, I was in the 8th Doctor, season 1.6, track 56, about halfway through, and then when I wake up, I could pick up from where I left off. But, like,
Oh, okay.
it's fun, you know, especially because Doctor Who's been a kind of a train wreck for a little while, and, like, this is a nice place to go just be like, oh, here's just some regular old Doctor Who. It's not Stephen Moffat wanking out his giant fucking, you'll never believe the cosmic significance of what happened, and then, like, it's not Chris Chibnall and his whole thing that I don't like. It's just some old Doctor Who.
Well, that's good. Yeah, because I haven't heard anyone talk about any of the Doctor Who's. Because for years, I have a bunch of friends that are fans of Doctor Who on my Facebook, and they were always like, "Oh, the new episode." I haven't heard shit in, like, I think 2 years now, something like that. Like, nobody talks about it.
I think it's been longer than that because Moffat kind of fucked it up towards the end of his run, and I think that Chibnall's been at it for 3 years now. So it's like,
oh, jeez.
Yeah, he's no good. Also, if you're into Doctor Who, I recommend watching that JXE video. It is 5.5 hours long, so I just put it on the background over the course of many days. But it still felt shorter than trying to watch the fucking Army of the Dead.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
Boo! Boo, Zack Snyder! I gave you another chance, Zack Snyder. I mean,
you keep giving him chances. That's your problem.
It's because everybody keeps going. I saw people giving that movie a 10 on Metacritic, and I'm like, have you no sense, man? Have you lost your mind? 10 out of 10? Right?
You, Jeff.
That movie has dead pixels that make me think my TV was broken. Like, it's fucking terrible. Like, it was fucking terrible. All the way from the start to the finish. The plot was bad. The soundtrack was bad. Gee, Michael, you'll never guess what they played what song they played during the intro montage about the zombies invading Las Vegas. Can you even guess?
Las Vegas?
Oh, gee, look, it was. No, but it was a Richard Cheese version of Viva Las Vegas.
Who knows Richard Cheese?
Richard Cheese is a guy that was big, like, in the late 90s, early 2000s, who did, like, lounge covers of popular music. So he's like,
jeez, poor guy.
Piano crooner. I mean, he was, like, fully into it. But yeah, if you want, like, the only content that's worth watching in that movie is the opening scene, and I think that this should definitely. I was thinking about it the other day, Michael. I'm fucking tired of it. The Red Letter Media guys reminded me of it. We should not be giving Dawn of the Dead. We should not be giving Zack Snyder credit for Dawn of the Dead. We should be giving James fucking Gunn credit for Dawn of the Dead. Like,
100%.
Like that Zack Snyder has not been able to make a movie that I liked. Ever. Yes, ever is the end of that sentence.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah, just as long as James Gunn's part of it, apparently, because that's the only Snyder movie I can think of that I liked from beginning to end, outside of the 4-hour Watchmen cut, and even that's just because I kind of like Watchmen. But yeah, I don't know.
I still like I'm too close to Watchmen, so I can't like it because I'm like, the end doesn't make any sense because
no, it doesn't.
You know, like, if it was the alien from the comics that came and then that would bring the world together, but if it was the U.S. military asset Dr. Manhattan that destroyed the world, then everybody in the world would turn against the United States. Like, it's just a logical fallacy that doesn't make any fucking sense, where I'm like, but it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, I've gotten to arguments with people about that, and they're just like, well, no, they would just blame Dr. Manhattan. It's like, yeah, but he's a U.S. citizen, so they would just blame him. Like, we blame people for shit like that all the time.
Okay, here's what I'll say. 300 was watchable, and I've never seen the Owls of Ga'Hoole, the Guardians of the Ga'Hoole.
People swear by that one, but I don't have any interest in it.
Okay, but it was also not written by Zack Snyder. It was written by John Orloff and Emil Stern. So
apparently that's a good movie, though. I'm
saying is that, like, that fucking Army of the Dead, it's like, I'm trying so hard to not just be like a parody of myself who's just like, hey, fucking Zack Snyder. Like I sat down, turned it on, I was watching it, I was like, hey, this intro's pretty good, I like this. And then as it kept going, I was like, but why? Like the plot doesn't make any fucking sense, and the character motivations make very little sense, and there's no theme, and even the action was like. So yeah, but I highly recommend everybody go watch that Red Letter Media review of it because it was very good.
Yeah, it's a good review. They tear that movie apart.
And if you do watch it, just remember the dead pixels are not in your TV; they're in the fucking movie. Your TV isn't broken. How, Michael? The movie's been out for like 5 days by the time I watched it. How is it not fixed yet? If you gave me the Adobe Premiere file for the movie, I could fix it for you in 20 minutes and get a new version uploaded. I know how to use. I mean, all you have to do is go in, and because it's just they're white pixels in dark scenes. All you have to do is go in and turn them black until they go away, and then turn off the dead pixel. That's all you have to do. And it's not like Netflix is like a DVD. It's not like they mastered the Blu-ray wrong. You could fucking put a different version on Netflix. Like, why? How? Zack Snyder, didn't he how much money did he get to go back and crawl through every frame of Justice League to put it back together again in, like, you want to make it in black and white 4:3 and all this horse shit. He bought these dumb old lenses to film Army of the Dead with, and then he just left these dead fucking pixels, and they're not subtle. This is not like somebody who's just looking to do a takedown on him. There are black, like, contrast turned all the way up scenes with big white pixels right in the middle of a character's face, and you're just like, how?
I saw a lot of great memes. They're like, the dead pixels are kept to keep us artistic vision or whatever, like that 4:3 message.
Oh, God. Anyway, I can't get started, or else half this podcast is going to be Zack Snyder. Michael,
100%.
What did you do last week? I understand you played a lot of Resident Evil Village.
Yes, I beat RE8. That game's really good. It's not as scary as 7. 7 scared the shit out of me, or is 8. Like, it's scary, but it's never. I was never like super afraid of going into certain areas, kind of thing. Except for like a few areas, but for the most part, you know. And I had ammo up the fucking wazoo because I kept collecting all the treasures and selling and shit. And so it wasn't like it probably wasn't as hard for me as it probably would have been outside of that.
Okay,
but I really liked it. I think it's if you really like 7, you'll really like 8. And if you really like that sort of like balance of horror and action, I think 8 will work a lot better than 7 did for you. Because I know somebody who straight up said that 8 is now their favorite, which is kind of amazing.
Is it? Would you say that you liked it better than 7?
No, well, at least not. I wouldn't say I liked it better than 7.
On par with? On par with, or is 7? You think 7 is better?
I think 7's better, more tension wise. Like the actual like sense of dread is the reason I like 7 more. Whereas 8, like every time there was a sense of dread, I was like, oh yeah, I have a shotgun, and then I would just shotgun something in the face, and then it would just go away, kind of thing. Like, but there was enough of it to like, you know, make me still really like it. Like, it's not like I hate it or anything. Like, it's still one of the better Resident Evil games, hands down. And like I think it's still really good. I just don't think it's nearly as good as 7. But that's not by like a whole lot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the things about 7 that really sets it apart is the fact that it's such a different environment than anything else that we've seen in Resident Evil, and that even the village, like, kind of European weird medieval castle stuff, it's like we've kind of seen something like that in 4, but, you know, we've seen the Spencer Mansion, we've seen, you know, the downtown, the cityscape type of thing, but like that fucking Baker house was something else entirely. Like, it looked like a shitty fucking rundown shack full of garbage, and that was just not the place I'm used to having to fight things in Resident Evil. It really does stand apart.
One of the main things I think is also that Resident Evil 7 doesn't have nearly as many guns as the other games do. Like, this one had a lot of guns, to be honest, like, at least compared to 7. At least from what I could tell, kind of thing. And it's a lot easier to get ammo is the other thing in this one.
Okay. So
even though like a lot of the enemies are bullet sponges.
So just a little bit more action oriented than 7.
Yeah.
But then,
which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I think it balances it really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that I was kind of hoping to be a little more scared by it than I was, especially after 7, than what I ended up getting.
Well, 7. I mean, like the thing is that there's a point. We're going to definitely move on from this in a moment. But like the thing about 7 that I feel like a lot of people don't entirely remember is that, like the first third of 7 is a very different game than the back 2/3 of 7. Like because when you start out and you don't have any weapons and Mia throws you around, right, and it's like okay. And then you get out into the house, and Jack is fucking terminated in his way through walls. And you finally find that cop, and then you got the whole scene with them with the car. And, like, that whole thing is just a ride. And you have very little autonomy over what you're doing during that point in the game. But
100%.
Then it becomes a bunch of mold monsters.
It's really good, though.
Okay. Cool. Well, you know what else looks really good? Horizon Forbidden West. Smoothest transitions in the industry.
It's the Frank West like fusion, right? That's what it is.
That's right. It's covered dinosaur robot wars, you know. So yeah, we got a state of play today with the gameplay reveal for Horizon Forbidden West. Now, Michael, I'm interested to know what you thought about this because the thing is that this looked really good, but like Horizon Zero Dawn, it may just be a long time since I played Horizon Zero Dawn, but Horizon Zero Dawn had such a good, solid art style and was like one of the best looking PlayStation 4 games I've ever seen, where I'm like, I'm not saying that this doesn't look better, but like a lot of what appealed to me about Horizon Zero Dawn was art style, and here it's just like that same art style, but sharper and better and more detailed. Like there were some parts that really stood out to me, like some of the faces and Aloy's hair, and there were some few parts with like smoke and like particle stuff. But it wasn't. I feel like in a lot of ways, this new generation, we sometimes don't. I just don't feel like we're getting this like, oh my god, I've never seen a game that looks like this before moments. I don't know. What did you think of this?
I thought it was gorgeous. Like I didn't think it was. I think it's probably one of the most gorgeous games I've seen in like at least recently. I'm not saying other games look like garbage. It's just that since it's an open world game and it also looks like this, like there's just something magical about the whole thing. And like it's just and they put a lot of work into it. Like it's even with the movements as well as the fact that they're like, hey, you can swim underwater forever. Like fuck it, kind of thing. And there's so much going on with it that's just. It's really exciting. But like you were saying, like, yeah, the art style, it's still there, which is good. But I feel like I was hoping they would add a little more to it. But that's not necessarily like a super bad thing.
It reminds me of like it reminds me of kind of like the difference between Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales, right? Where like Spider-Man was a really fucking good looking game when you just played it on PlayStation 4. Miles Morales looked even better than that, but it was already based on something that looked really, really good to start with. So like, it's going to be, I don't know. I think it's going to be difficult because unless you're like into the really granular minutia of Horizon Zero Dawn, I feel like some of the stuff that was kind of quote unquote revealed here, it's like, well, Aloy still has a bow. You still have kind of a stick. You still have traps. There's some new stuff in that regard. I like the kind of, she's got like a grappling hook that you can kind of zip line to places, which is cool. The swimming looks pretty nifty. I'd like to see if there's like specific underwater combat or if it's just like a traversal thing that we're seeing with the swimming. But
I'm curious about that too.
But yeah, this is one of those ones where it's kind of hard, like to figure out. Like, I don't think there's anything new to say here outside of like, damn, that looks real pretty, and I would like to play it. I don't think that if you're not a fan of Horizon Zero Dawn, this is going to make you a fan, because the thing is that if you squint your eyes and kind of just like wireframe what's going on here, it looks like very similar in gameplay to the first Horizon Zero Dawn, right? Like,
yeah, no, 100%.
You're taking over the robots. You've got stealth combat. You've got ranged combat. You've got like different tools you can use, and all that's amazing. Like, that's all great. It's just like, it's like if you've eaten a really good steak and then somebody's like, this steak is even better, and you're like, you're right, it is. But that last steak was also very good. It's not like this game is the sequel to, I don't know, Aliens Colonial Marines or something like that, where
That would be kind of funny. You end up getting the game, and it's just like it's just not looking anything like that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it looks great. We didn't get like a release date or anything off of it. Did you think there was anything like really, really, really notable about what you saw that you feel like would need to be called out specifically?
Not really, because that's the thing is that it still looks a lot more like Horizon, except for that thing that I mentioned earlier, which was that they put a lot of work into the traversal, I think, a little more. Because it looks like it probably has a lot more traversal stuff that you can and cannot do, luckily. And then everything else, for the most part, just looks like more Horizon, which isn't a bad thing, because Horizon was one of the best games that came out on the PS4. And so I'm hoping for great things for this one, too.
Yeah, I think that's a great summary. The other problem that I'm having, Michael, though, is that I when Horizon Zero Dawn, the original, came out, I played it, I beat it. I've never been back to it since. So I don't even know if I went back and loaded up the original Horizon Zero Dawn and looked at like the way, maybe this is just like that thing where this is how I remember the original Horizon Zero Dawn looking, because it's just got a nice glossy sheen of nostalgia in my memory. And then I look at this, I'm like, what? No, it always looked really good, and I go back and load it up, and I'm like, oh god, their heads are just squares that shake back and forth when they do their dialogue. Holy shit, how did I forget that?
I want to be surprised. That happened with me with Red Dead Revolver. I think I told you that before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I thought Red Dead Revolver looked like one of the most realistic games I'd ever played, and then I played it again years later. I'm like, oh Jesus, these guys are very polygonal.
Man, can you imagine? Like, the one thing I'll say though is that between this and the other thing is I got some real heavy Uncharted vibes off of this with the kind of just jumping around in the jungle traversal stuff. But can you imagine how good these outdoor jungle areas look so fucking good? Can you imagine what like a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake with this level of jungle would look like, where it was it wasn't just kind of like, that big brown box, that's your tree, climb up. I mean, like, Metal Gear Solid 3 wasn't bad looking or anything, but like, it's like 2 generations old at this point. So
that's a good example of what I was talking about, where it's like, man, Metal Gear Solid 3 is the most realistic thing I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
And you go back and you're like, oh shit. And then hell, even the first Uncharted was like that. I thought Uncharted 1, thought nothing would look better than Uncharted 1. And then you play Uncharted 4 and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks really good, and I can't wait to play it. I think it's. Oh wait, I forgot this thing was we're watching the video.
The
yeah, the little cyber glider thing is really cool. I don't. The other thing I was talking about in the Discord was that like a lot of the gameplay reveal focused on this these raiders, and like the raiders in the first game were like the least interesting part of the first game. So
these raiders can ride things like you do.
Yeah, that still doesn't make them any more interesting than they were in the first game. They're still just fucking raiders.
That's true, yeah. But who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see how it plays out, though.
Yep. Well, if you thought that was the only big game reveal to happen this week, you're so stupid. Like, there was so much more. We actually mentioned this a few weeks back on the podcast that there's a whole Dragon Quest presentation that happened this week that announced a whole bunch of stuff. Now, the thing is that, Michael, we're moving into the part of the podcast that I like to call announcements about games that Jeff doesn't play. Play. So, like, I don't know that I have a lot to say about these things, but we're definitely going to run down what went through them. I think the biggest thing, we've known it's been in the works, but they announced Dragon Quest 12, The Flames of Fate, and there was no information. It was just this logo carving out, new Dragon Quest.
Be a porn Steam game. That's the twist.
Oh, what a twist! So yeah, there's going to be a new Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest 12 is happening. That's a big one. That's kind of all that we have to say about that. I mean, I didn't play.
They made it to 12.
Did you play 11?
No, I played the demo for it, and I was like, this is neat, but I don't have time for another RPG kind of thing.
A JRPG. I was actually really more interested. Did you watch this trailer for Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D?
I did not.
So Dragon Quest 3 was like an OG, right? Like a Famicom game. You can see in this trailer, and then it's like they made a remake of it that was like a top-down kind of like sprite style version of it, where it looks a little bit more like a Super Nintendo game now, right? Like,
I think that's what it is because it says SFC, so I assume that means Super Famicom.
There we go. So, but what they're doing is they're re-releasing this, but what they're doing is really interesting because they're doing it in the Octopath triple thing, whatever that RPG that we played, the tactics one was.
Yeah.
They're putting it in that where it's like 2D sprites, but in this like kind of semi 3D space with, I mean, like there's definitely 3D objects in the space, but then the characters are still 2D sprites, but there's like better lighting and better mapping. And it's kind of a nice way to take that sort of thing and then turn it into something that looks a little bit more modern.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It mostly made me think, like, I was like, oh, I wish they would do this with a game that I really wanted to play, like Final Fantasy VI. Like, I really wish they would just do this with some of the older Final Fantasy games because it's a nice way to take an old retro 2D RPG and, you know, put some work in it, but not have to remake it from the ground up with the real-time battle system and $1 billion worth of fucking CGI spike hair.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, that's actually really cool, and I would maybe give it a shot, but you know, I've never really played any of the Dragon Quest games, really.
Yeah, I think it took me.
Akira Toriyama has done like all of them.
I think it took me until I was like 17 to beat the first game, and when I finally did, I was like, okay, I'm done, never again. Let's see. There's a dumb game. I'm sorry, Dragon Quest fans. This game looks like stupid as fuck. It's called Dragon Quest Keshi Keshi, which is a free-to-play mobile game about little erasers that are like the Dragon Quest characters that erase pictures of enemies, and they do a little fight. That it is not even any gameplay in this trailer. It's just a bunch of these little little eraser guys that erase enemies, and I don't know what it is, and I don't care.
It sounded like a Mad Lib gone wrong.
Yeah,
so I don't like Dragon Quest eraser characters, and it just keeps going from there, and you're like, what the fuck?
I mean, you know, it'd be really cool, like if you were a kid and this game was out, and like they sold erasers that literally had like NFC chips in them or whatever, and then you could take your little eraser to class and put it on your friend's phone to help him complete the quest, and you just, yeah, I mean, sure, but.
It looks like it might be a match 3 kind of thing, because at one point, like, it had a bunch of them stack on top of each other to make one of the heroes.
That's how it starts.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. It totally starts with this little. I skipped a little bit forward. So, anyway, and then let's see. We also had Dragon Quest. So I didn't know this, but apparently there is a Dragon Quest MMO, Dragon Quest X. There are so they announced a bunch of expansions for Dragon Quest X. Dragon Quest X started as a Wii game, Michael. It has been ported to multiple other platforms over the course of its history, and it has never been brought to the West. It is Japan only.
That's interesting.
Like they literally had this live stream where they talked about expansions for Dragon Quest X, and then there was just a big thing at the bottom of the screen that says there are no plans for a worldwide release. Because it was like this, all these announcements were simulcast in both English and Japanese.
I love that tweet. Square Enix said psych.
Yeah. But they did put out a trailer for this thing that is called Dragon Quest X Offline, which is basically they took the MMO, the Dragon Quest X MMO, and have kind of compacted it into a single player version of the MMO structure. And they haven't announced that there's going to be a release date for that in the West yet, but like this would probably be the closest that we would ever get to being able to play Dragon Quest X.
It'd be a good move, I think.
Yeah,
because then they don't have to like worry about Americans coming into their shit and putting dick pics all over the place.
We'll do it.
Putting rocket ships in text.
We'll do it. We'll do it all day. Day. Yep. So yeah, and that was pretty much all of it. I'll be honest, y'all. The actual video announcement for this live stream was like several hours long. It was one of those. I'm pretty sure. You know what?
Christ.
No, you know what? Let's back it up even further. I'll be even more honest with you. I didn't even fucking check because it didn't matter how long it was. I wasn't gonna watch it. I just wanted to see the trailers. The end. I read a bunch of like, here's a breakdown of everything that was announced because I didn't want to watch a fucking long ass Japanese announcement for Dragon Quest, a franchise that I'm not really super into. So that's me being honest. I hear that the
Army of the Dead or whatever.
Yeah. Army of the Dead only took 2 hours and 20 minutes of my time, and I wish I had that 2 hours and 20. I wish I'd watched MODOK a second time instead of watching that bullshit. So anyway, let's see. From there, let's move from something that Jeff doesn't like to something that Jeff doesn't like.
I thought you were going to say it's other bullshit.
No, it's just the same thing. Haha, I said the same thing twice. Sonic. We got a bunch of Sonic announcements. That's
a new Dinky King.
That blue fucking moron. He's out there again running around eating chili dogs. We got 3 separate announcements here. The first one is that shock and horror, awe and dismay. There's going to be a new Sonic game, y'all. I bet you didn't see that coming.
It's very fast.
Yeah. There's a very short teaser for it. It's going to be on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X, Switch, PC. Coming in 2022. There's a trailer. Sonic is running. He's got his arms behind him. He's like glowing. Some cyber shit all around him. He makes some kind of symbol. I don't know what it is. Do you know what it is?
MMO. I don't know.
It could be.
I don't read the comics. It could be a comic thing. I don't know.
He goes in like a circle, and then that circle becomes like this symbol, and the symbol is the symbol for the fucking Robotnik Enterprises. I don't know what the symbol is.
It looks like gibberish to me. It's like, I don't know what the fuck this is supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, Sonic has been, not good for a very long time. I don't know how else to put it, really.
Yeah.
It's just like, I want to say I want Sonic to be good, but I never gave a shit about Sonic. I was a Super Nintendo kid growing up, and so I didn't have the attachment to Sonic the way, other people did. Like my ex-roommate, he loved Sonic so much that he bought, Sonic Mania and stuff. And that's the only real games that I've seen him play were Sonic related kind of thing. So maybe he'll be excited about this, but I don't really care, to be honest.
The thing is, what's weird to me is like, okay, well, is it another 2D Sonic game? Because those are sometimes fun because they're nostalgic and go to the past. Is it a 3D Sonic game? Because those generally tend to be kind of bad, but...
Like, I think 99% of them are pretty bad.
Yeah.
And I don't even know which the 1% are, for that matter.
Was that BioWare RPG good? I didn't play it.
I don't know. I don't remember people saying it was super good, but there's a what happened on it, so just do that with what you will.
Fair enough. Hey, hold on for just a second. I'm switching us back to Central because West seems like it's being a dick.
Okay.
So, all right. So from there, potentially more good news? Question mark? Again, you got the wrong fucking guy on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like Sonic Colors Ultimate. We knew this had gotten leaked a whole bunch of different ways, so we pretty much knew this was coming. Sonic Colors, which apparently was a well-beloved Sonic game, is...
I remember people saying they really liked Sonic Colors, and then no one ever talked about it ever again.
Yeah, it's getting a re-release. There's a new version. There's Sonic and all of his friends, Horny Bat, Mutant
Horny Bat,
Mutant Cat or whatever. Like it's all of them.
Duke Nukem the cat.
Yes. So yeah.
Actually, I have no idea if he's even in this.
Oh, it's got the baby Sonic keychain. Yeah, so September 7th, Sonic Colors is going to be coming out on the Xbox, PlayStation, to Switch. There's a bunch of Sonic Colors Ultimate. Huzzah! You can get the Sonic game. You can play it. Sonic fans?
Is that the movie Sonic that popped up there?
I believe so. Yep, something about Sonic. Probably like, there's
Sonic movie boost.
Yep, there you go.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. And then last but not least, we got there's going to be they didn't say really much about this, but there's going to be a Sonic retro collection called Sonic Origins. It's going to have Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and the Sonic CD games all in one package that you can buy. Buy your childhood.
This is actually good news because my roommate or my ex-roommate, he was always annoyed that he couldn't get Sonic 3 on anything because Sonic 3 for some reason was like not on any. It wasn't like re-released on anything outside of the PS2 for a while.
Okay.
Or something like that. And so yeah, this is the first time in a while that people be able to play Sonic 3 again.
Huzzah! Ring the bells, light the fires, turn over a police car. Sonic.
Good news for the Sonic people.
Sonic, y'all. So, yeah. All right. Well, you know what, Michael? I know that there's no news sexier than Sonic the Hedgehog news. I know that's a fact. Okay. That sexy bat is in there, and so that makes it the sexiest. Also, just don't look up Sonic on DeviantArt. But we do have an update.
Never do that.
To the sexy Twitch news from last week about the sexy hot tub streamy people.
There's a sexy Sonic hot tub stream is what you're saying.
I would not be surprised. So last week we had a story. There was just some Twitch fuckery where Twitch demonetized one of the ladies that was doing these hot tub streams. They have this whole, Michael, just to recap, they have this whole problem where the advertisers on Twitch don't want to put their ads for fucking Cheez-Its on a stream where some lady in a bikini is playing Just Dance in her living room, jumping up and down in a bikini. They don't want to do that. So then you get into this thing where it's oh, you can only have the worst ads on your thing, but they just turned them off. They didn't tell the streamer. I forget which one it was, Amaranth or Alinity or one. I don't know. I don't know streamers.
No, where's the bat? I don't know.
They just turned it off. They turned off all the bat streams. No, they turned off her monetization. So she was making $1,000 a day in monetization, and they just fucking boop, didn't tell her and turned it off. Yeah, she's there's a button if you're a really high tier Twitch person where you can just push a button and get an ad, so you can schedule your ads properly, and she would just hit that button and it wouldn't do anything at that point. But since last week, Twitch has now created a new category on Twitch called pools, hot tubs, and beaches. So if you're a hot tub streamer, now you can go put your stream, instead of putting it in just chatting where it might end up in this weird limbo, you can put it in pools, hot tubs, and beaches. And then I assume that all the advertisers can just say, well, don't advertise on any of the people in the pools, hot tubs, and beaches category because we don't want our what do they put ads for on Twitch? I only know the ones on YouTube.
So Wiggles, probably.
So it's on YouTube, it's that one guy that's trying to tell you that you've got 100 pounds of poop in your body, or he's selling that weird coffee drink. He's selling
guy.
18 different things. There's one beard guy that's trying to sell me all these different fucking bullshit things. And I'm like, ugh. And then there's that Houston Energy Company. I hate those motherfuckers. I'm going to install an ad blocker. Anyway, so yes, this is perhaps a good thing. Maybe they should have done this instead of just turning off monetization. Maybe they should have put out a more comprehensive statement instead of just yanking the levers back and forth behind the scenes, and then people don't get the money.
Jerk reaction because somebody was jerking it in the back.
Yeah, Amaranth. That's who it was before. So. Now, the thing is that even if you start streaming in that category, you don't get your monetization status back. So, that happened. But I think that okay, so Michael, full disclosure, in the interest of journalistic integrity, I spent about a half hour today browsing the beaches, pools, and toilets section on.
It's all people playing Artifact, right?
Yes, it's all people playing. It's just hardcore pornography. No, I went in there and I did a little bit, and okay, listen, I am not a person who's going to shame other people for what they decide to do to make money. And if I could put on a bikini and make the amount of money that these people are making, I probably would do it. But in all honesty, this is it's really close to a cam show just with clothes on. Like I looked at multiple streamers who, like, one of the tier goals, if you donate $50 to this person, they'll like write your name in magic marker on their flesh. And like if you donate $500, I'll write it on my forehead. And like most of them were playing dancing games. They were just standing in like a tepid kiddie pool in the middle of their living room in bikinis, playing Just Dance and jumping up and down and like writing people's names on their bodies and putting
the saddest thing I've ever heard.
And it was like, I mean, okay, cool. Like, I don't care, but it was just like, I kind of have a little bit more sympathy for the advertisers because I kind of see what I mean, you know, but there were also a lot of buts. But the other thing that happened was that this also opened up this new category, which appears to be at this point largely unregulated, to a shitload of fakes, scams, and parodies. So like the one that I saw that was on there was just like a looping video of Iroh from Legend of Korra in like a hot tub, just from a scene in the series, just on a loop, like with chill beats to study to in the background, and every so often like a quote from Iroh would come through the channel. Apparently some people are downloading other people's streams and then like just playing that stream into their Twitch channel like it's live. Some people are doing things like they'll put up a like, I'll be back in 15 minutes. And then when you get in, the chat spams you with a bunch of like dubious links, but they never actually come back. Like there's not actually a stream that ever comes back.
Jesus Christ.
And there's a lot of dudes in there too. So,
for them,
I guess. I mean, you know, the internet, right? Like, what did you think was going to happen? This is what
seemed like a good idea at the time.
No, well, okay, at the time, yes. Michael, though, we have been around for long enough that we all know that the internet was God's worst mistake, and that we should turn that shit off immediately.
That's true.
Yeah. I'll start broadcasting on a shortwave radio tower, and you guys can all move pretty close to my house to pick it up. But that guy that did the goat testicles back in the old days, that the stupid piece of shit.
We're number one with preppers or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to change the whole format. So, yeah, hot tub meta, it's pretty bad. I'll tell you what else is bad, though. What's bad and online? Call of Duty. Call of Duty is God's second greatest mistake.
You convinced me on that one pretty quickly.
So apparently there's just a report last week that 350,000 Call of Duty accounts were banned for, quote, racist names or toxic behavior. And apparently there's more to be done, say the developers. Like, I love there's a... Look, this is what I love. There's this quote from the report that they put out. We are committed to delivering a fun gameplay experience for all our players. There's no place for toxic behavior, hate speech, or harassment of any kind in our games or our society, say the people who run Call of Duty. It's like, no, you were the originator. Like, you patented, like, the worst community. It was like you and Counter-Strike. Which one was worse? And I know which one was worse because I was in the Counter-Strike community. So,
yeah, Call of Duty was the first time I was angry in a lobby, like, outright, because people were just shitty from like beginning to end, and I was like, I don't want to play this game anymore.
Yeah, if you ever want to know why I always, whenever we play a game on Rage Select, why I always disable voice comms if it's an online game, it's because there was one time that I tried to play Call of Duty online, and I literally like stood next to this guy, and he was like, "Get the fuck out of here!" and started calling me that bad word that means a bunch of sticks, and people use it about the gay people, and like just yelling directly into his microphone, into my ear, calling me names, telling me my mom was a whore. And what I was doing, Michael, was standing too close to the place he was camping. That was what I was doing wrong in Call of Duty. And I was like, okay, never again. I mean, I assume there's nice people out there somewhere, but I don't care.
No, I don't want to deal with those people. I'm good.
Yeah. So, yeah, maybe, but hey, maybe it's better now. 350,000, that's a lot of people. Maybe Call of Duty's not as bad as it used to be. Who could say?
Yes.
Speaking of online multiplayer shooters, apparently Bungie's next game is fucking sit down, get the drink out of your mouth, because Bungie's next game is apparently going to be an online multiplayer action game. Stop the fucking presses. Yeah.
It's going to be called Balo. Has nothing to do with Halo whatsoever.
It's listed as a character action game. And it seems like because they posted a job advertisement for an incubation sandbox designer for its new, quote, multiplayer action game that is currently in incubation. This is according to a VG247 article. The job listing requires any potential applicants to be experienced in working on character-focused action games and familiar with the competitive gaming landscape / esports. That makes me think that this might be more of like an Overwatch-style game, right? Character-focused action game?
I don't know. Well, the thing about the character, that specific wording, it could be either that or it could be something that's like closer to maybe even Godfall-like. Kind of thing. Like it's one of those like terms that could mean a lot of things, and we would have to find out once it comes out, or once anything for it comes out. Really.
Yeah. I guess if it was Overwatch, that would be. I mean, I don't know. Usually we call those hero shooters, but this could just be industry jargon that I don't know. But anyway, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Yeah. Let's see. In other we'll have to see news, apparently Team Ninja is making a Final Fantasy game called Final Fantasy Origin that is a PS5 timed exclusive action RPG. And remember that Team Ninja are the guys what brought us Neo and Ninja Gaiden, and they're going to be making a Final Fantasy game. Now, contrary to what some of you might be thinking, I think this is a very good idea because it's an action game being made by a company that is good at making action games. I don't think Square Enix is very good at making action games personally, but that's just me.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee it's just going to be like an RPG type one either. Like it could just be a straightforward action game, for all we know.
Yeah,
and that could be kind of cool.
Apparently, yeah. So, yeah, they said that the game's called Final Fantasy Origin. It's going to be exclusive. Apparently, they're going to be doing like some kind of alpha demo over the summer, which makes me wonder if in a couple of weeks, if we're going to be during the weird E3 Summer Gaming Festival, if we might have a big reveal. I don't know. I don't remember if Square the lineup has gotten so fragmented. I don't remember if Square is doing E3 this year, but I think they are. Maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised. They don't have a lot of things going on in E3 right now, and I could imagine Square jumping on something like that.
Yeah. Oh, right. It says it right here in this article. Square Enix is taking place in this year's all-digital E3. So there you go.
More Avengers stuff.
They probably will. You know they will. They're going to show off Wakanda.
Hopefully. Yeah. They need something. They need some wins.
I don't know. They already got your $60, Michael. They could just turn the servers off and keep your $60. Like,
that's true. That's true.
You've spent more than $60, haven't you? I know you. I know you.
I definitely have.
No.
Quite a bit on that game.
But yeah, if they are going to be doing an alpha over the summer, it actually wouldn't surprise me if they didn't pull an E3 like, here's this game, here's the trailer, and there'll be a demo available later today for anybody who wants to play it. Blah 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 blah. So, yeah. In other PlayStation news, this is really weird, but there's this report that came out from Ampere Analysis that said that the PS5 console is so far leading the Xbox Series XS in sales during the first quarter of the calendar year. And that, let's see, it's between the regular PS5 and the digital edition, that it's 2.83 million units have been shipped to consumers by the end of March, and that on the Xbox Series X/S is only 1.3 million units.
Oh wow!
Which it seems like I'm bringing this up because it seems like I feel like whenever we talk about these, like the product shortages for the new consoles, we always talk about the PlayStation 5. But to me, the fact that everything has been sold out seems to indicate from these numbers that Microsoft is having a difficult time keeping up because it seems like if Microsoft had made another 1.5 million units that they would have sold, right? Like,
no, absolutely, because people are fighting over these next gen consoles a lot.
Yeah,
and I don't see a reason why they wouldn't be like the similar numbers outside of they just don't have that many.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting to think about because I don't know. I mean, like just what these numbers say is that Sony has managed to push out more consoles like onto shelves because
I even read a report a while back where it's like, the Xbox Series X sold out in Japan, which is not something anybody expected.
Wow.
Because everybody just wants a next gen console, and the PS5s are hard to get, but the Xboxes probably weren't in Japan. But like the fact that they can sell out there means that they're these things are a way to print money, but they can't make enough of them.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, next time you shake your fist, shake it at everybody, I guess. ? That was a weird thing to say. I don't really know what I meant. Let's see. In other hardware news, we got some more. Shock of shock. We got another report this time from Bloomberg that the Switch Pro is going to be a thing. It's going to be here by the end of the year. It's going to cost more than $300, and that it's going to do all the things that we've seen. It's going to have a slightly bigger screen that's OLED as opposed to an LCD. It's going to do 4K when you dock it. And you're going to have to buy a new Switch. So, good luck getting one of those. I mean, like, Nintendo hardware was hard enough to get before this fucking shit went down, but like,
it's gonna be rough because even before all this stuff, like those consoles were still getting scalped pretty quickly, and so like a newer version of that's going to be a fucking pain for a while. I can tell already.
Michael, I'm going to need you to go wait in line in front of GameStop in September.
It's tempting. I don't know if I don't think my body can handle it anymore.
The thing is, I think I might have to crowdsource this to like the Discord server and just be like, hey man, if one of you can get one of these, I will fucking pay you for it. And I mean, like, I wouldn't do it to the internet at large because I'm pretty sure that they would rip me off over and over and over again. And
very quickly, actually.
I could just buy it from a scalper at that rate. But like, the Discord server is full of nice people at patreon.com/RageSelect, who, would probably not rip me off. But
how long ago did that console, the first one, come out?
The first Switch?
Yeah.
Let's see.
That was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Switch. Yeah, that's a good question. I keep time, man. Fucking time, brah. Let's see. March of 2017. 4 years. 4 years. Wowzers.
I was already getting towards the end of like being able to do that at that point.
Yeah.
Because I felt like shit the whole next day after I did that.
You guys all gotta thank Michael. Whenever there is a video on Rage Select that has a Switch game in it, it's only because Michael fucking waited in line to get one. Because I was like, I don't really care about Nintendo. Whoa. It'll be easy to get one. And then it was like, they're gone, and they're gone. And it was like, wait, no, I need that for my job. And it was like, well, tough luck, Buttercup. Like,
yeah, I went to a GameStop, and at like I think it was 5 in the morning, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a guy there that had been waiting since like 2 in the morning when I got there. And then I stayed there until the next day when they gave me the Switch. I was so out of it that Angry Joe showed up, and I thought he was a hallucination. I was just like, is that Angry Joe? They're like, yeah, it is. It's like, oh, Jesus. I don't know where I am.
Yeah. No, that's the best. Let's see. And then I think we're going to take a break after this, but we got one more story here today when it comes to mobile hardware. Everybody's getting in the mobile hardware game, including, and this is weird, Valve. So apparently Valve has been working on this thing called the Steam Pal, internal code name Steam Pal, which is like, you know what, Michael, have you ever looked online? There's like a bunch of different companies that sell these like mobile processor, LCD, battery, built-in joystick, but it runs like Windows 10, and you can run.
I've heard of a lot of those because a lot of people use them for like ROMs and shit.
Yeah,
mostly,
yeah.
for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never heard of using them for actual like PC games, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so this is supposed to run Linux, which I assume is just like a version of that Steam OS that they made for their quote unquote consoles. Remember those? Remember the fucking Steam Link machine or the Steam consoles?
Yeah. That was the thing that lasted for all of 10 seconds.
Yeah,
I remember people were like, "Oh, it's gonna kill the console market," and like it literally came and went, and no one even remembers that it happened.
Yeah, apparently they're quite a bit larger than the Steam or than the Switch, and then a lot of it is because one, the controllers don't come off, right? They're like built into the screen, and then apparently it's like from the rundown on this, it's 2 shoulder buttons, the face buttons, 2 joysticks, but then instead of a D-pad, it sounds like they're putting a touch screen where the D-pad would be, which actually, when I thought about it, makes more sense for like moving a mouse with a joystick, and then like taking the D-pad out definitely means that you couldn't do like, I mean, it would suck for like old like fighting games and old throwback platformers, but it would be really useful for like navigating an OS, being able to move your left thumbstick to a touchpad instead of trying to dick around with virtual mouse, right? Like,
yeah.
But it's supposed to be pretty wide, and then apparently there's like the way that some of this is found out about was that there were a bunch of there's a bunch of codes that have there's a bunch of additions to the Steam code that have like tags like Steam Pal Games, and Neptune, which was a different thing, that have been linked to games. So the idea, I think, is that the Linux version, the Steam OS version, which would run on this, will be able to play specific games out of your Steam library that are chosen to be compatible with it as an OS. But then I feel like that's going to roll back. I never looked, but I never got the impression that the Steam OS game compatibility was like really, really good, that there were a lot of really good modern games, like, or there were games, like it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like when Cyberpunk comes out it's going to be Steam OS compatible, right? Like,
yeah, I never really heard anything all that much about it. Like that's one of the reasons it came and went so quickly, because no one really used it for anything that was like new, I guess is a good way of putting it.
Mm-hmm. So here I just looked up. I mean, I guess this Zen, like I just looked up the Linux compatible versions. See, but this is like this. Yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Where like you look down this list of recent releases for the Steam OS compatible games, and like none of this is what's on the front page of Steam right now. Like it's all like weird puzzle games and like very lightweight. There's some visual novels on here.
Okay.
But like
right.
when you look at the actual like head, like the front of Steam, today we're recording this, you've got Earth Defense Force, Mech Warrior 5, Biomutant, Maneater, Shin Megami Tensei 3, and like none of those are on the Steam OS list. So I wonder if it's going to be as compatible as all that. So and with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. But you know what? I actually did this week I actually went through my list of tab babies, and I killed a bunch of my tab babies. So I think if we move fast, we're going to have time for at least a question or perhaps 2 questions by the time we're done.
Madness.
No, we could do it. We could do it. You believe in the me that believes in you, that believes in answering questions. Everybody believe in the questions. Let's get to questions. We'll be right back. Does everybody keep believing? Did you guys all believe during the break? Michael, were you believing while we took a break? Did you believe hard?
Listening to the journey, so yeah.
Okay, well that totally works.
Speaking of that, hey, real quick, just to say this, I found a guy on YouTube that makes like It's like, what if Blink-182 did this song, and they had a version of what if Blink-182 did Journey.
Okay,
goddamn thing was perfect. It's amazing.
YouTube is full of that stuff. I never click on it, like the medieval versions of fucking Evanescence or whatever, or like the jazzy versions of Slayer, or like some lady with a cello doing One Winged Angel. It's just, I don't know, it's all over the place.
There's some pretty good ones out there, but this one was like, it auto played, and I was like, you know what, I really like this.
Yeah. Well, let's see. My transitions got all fucked up, but like I had another. How about another mobile game on a mobile gaming device story this week, because apparently the Microsoft Surface Duo had an update that has that gave it support for Xbox Cloud Gaming, and this is one of those, like, it's like one of those phones that opens up, and so it's got two screens, two touch screens, kind of like a DS, and so they put the Xbox controller like on the bottom screen as like a touch controller, and then the actual streaming game on the top screen, and it looks like it worked pretty cool. It doesn't do all the games, and I don't know how I feel about having the number of buttons that are on an Xbox controller on a touch screen with no with just like haptic feedback. But
yeah, that's the reason I never really did the ROMs, because you could like download ROMs on your phone really easily, and a lot of the times there's touch screen controls, and I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
I just don't, like, it just, you don't feel, it doesn't feel right. And but like, but people who can do that, that's very exciting for them. Plus, a lot of the times you can buy controllers for these things pretty easily nowadays.
Oh yeah, or well, I mean, I bought like a bracket for my phone that is one of the. It's like fits on the Xbox controller and then has a bracket for your phone on the top.
Quite a few of those, and usually when they show off those sorts of things on their advertisings, they have those too, and so they're very much expecting people to do that more. Yeah.
So I actually did an experiment, because sometimes I like to buy stupid things for Rage Select, and I was like, how much is a Surface Duo? $1,000.
Oh my god!
Because it's a phone, you're supposed to buy it and then like pay it off in installments. So to buy it,
my Pixel is that much.
Yeah, to buy an unlocked version of the Surface Duo, it is like $1,000, and I'm like, well, that's a little much for dumb. Like, I'll buy a Google Stadia and an Apple TV, but like $1,000 for a thing that I can't even get a video out of without filming, like with a camera. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it would have to be your phone at that point.
Yeah. I don't want a Microsoft phone. God damn. Ugh, gross.
Yeah, no one wants Microsoft phones. Not after last time.
Yeah. Let's see. From there, speaking of Microsoft, we found out that apparently, we talked about E3 a little bit earlier, apparently Xbox and Bethesda are going to be combined into one 90-minute showcase for E3. So rather than having two separate, they're going to be doing it all together on Sunday, June 13th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. That's going to be a monster fucking show right there. Like,
wait, it's just digital now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so sorry. The reason I was asking that is because it's like that means the annoying Bethesda screaming people don't have to deal like with the other Xbox people. Because that would have started something nice.
Michael, you say that, but I get the feeling, you know what? I don't know. They might. I mean, the people been vaccinated. They bring in all their little developer cheerleaders. Like, it doesn't have to be open to the press or the public, but they might still bring in, like, oh my God, they could combine the rabid Microsoft crowd with the rabid Bethesda crowd into one big fan corporate blob, and they would all just be super excited for everything that happens.
It would be super tense because you throw a chair and the fight's just gonna start.
I don't know, like they had that one stream, I don't think you were on the podcast, we talked about it, where it was just like 2 hours of Todd Howard and like what's his name from Phil Harrison or whatever from Microsoft, like just jacking each other off, like just sitting around talking about how awesome they all are to each other, and it was just like, okay, cool, rad. But considering the number of things that we kind of know are in the pipeline, and even the number of things that we know that just like Bethesda is making, I mean, outside of stuff like Starfield or Elder Scrolls, we know that like Tango Softworks, the Tokyo Ghostwire Tokyo, and what's the, I don't know if the other one is going to be out, the one that Arcane is making, the Deathloop, like,
oh, okay,
there's a lot of stuff that they could put out on stage because, you think about Microsoft and Bethesda, but then Microsoft also has, as we've talked about before, Obsidian, Double Fine, like all those other companies that they've been acquiring. So, like, I think this is going to be, in years past, like Sony has been getting more and more, and Sony's not even going to be there, but Sony's been getting more and more into like these, like, last time we saw them at E3, they had 4 games to show. And like,
yeah, and they're all like stuff that they had already shown.
Yeah,
stuff. They did that long fucking. Was that the year they did the musician thing?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was weird as shit.
Well, they had the thing where they built that church in the parking lot for Last of Us 2, and then they made everybody walk over to watch the guy play the flute for Ghost of Tsushima, and it was like, so we were just sitting there in the live stream like, okay, I guess like 25 minutes worth of walking across a parking lot. Good job, Sony. No, that really enhanced for us here at home. Like,
yeah, because they put them all in the church to listen to them play the Joel's song or whatever on the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, that's kind of neat. And then they had to wait for them to move everybody over there. Watch a guy play this Japanese flute, who everybody made fun of, who turned out to be like the only like full-blown master of that specific instrument in the world, but nobody knew that. All they saw was a white guy playing a Japanese instrument, so people lost their shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then the next one, I don't even remember what it was. It was like an electric guitar or something. I don't even remember. It was fucking weird.
I don't know. All I know is that I also think that I want Microsoft to be running this because Microsoft over the last few years has shown that they know how to run a pretty tight ship when it comes to E3. Like, they don't fuck around too hard. So
they'll bring out Keanu Reeves and shit. And they know how to make people excited. They're pretty good at it.
I bet there's going to be a car, right? They're going to bring out a car for the new Forza at some point. It's going to be like, look at this car. It's in the new Forza game. It's a car.
Yeah, they're absolutely going to do that.
Yeah,
they're gonna be like, look at this thing. It's the new Tesla 360 truck or whatever the fuck that we got, and then it was scanned into it, and then they're gonna talk about it for 20 minutes. And you're gonna be like, oh my god, move on.
It probably doesn't come off as controversial at this point, but like, I used to very much be very, very, very much in Sony's camp, but like the older I get, the more kind of agnostic I become about the stuff, especially with how much Xbox has been making these smart moves and stuff. But like, I feel like the last few E3s, like, I like the games that Sony showed, but like, Xbox has had some really, really good conferences. They haven't always had a lot to show, but they do tend to pack it in. Like, a lot of times they're just showing off like trailers for third-party games that are going to be at their thing, but they do put on a pretty good show, and I like the kind of sense of a live show as opposed to like, Nintendo's directs are all fine and good and everything, but there is something fun about watching a bunch of people cheer in a stadium, the big fucking laser stage, and here's a car, here's Keanu Reeves, like, let's watch the Elden Ring trailer all together. Everybody goes, "Wah!"
Yeah, Phil Spencer is a really good showman. Like, that's the thing, is like, every time, even when I didn't really like what was going on with the Xbox One, they desperately tried to make me excited about what it was, and they got really close because they did such a good job with showmanship.
Yep. Let's see. Speaking of cons, BlizzCon is not going to be happening in 2021. So apparently,
Good move.
Yeah. Well, last year they canceled it for COVID, and this year it seems like they've kind of just hit the time limit, and it's still up in the air enough that they don't want to start having to put the whole thing together only to have to cancel it because of some bullshit or because it doesn't work. And this is different, right? BlizzCon is different than E3 in that it's more of a fan convention than a trade show.
It's very much like, hey, this is all the Blizzard. This is for the Blizzard peoples. Because, yeah, most of the people that go are fans. Like, they're not really there for, like, it's not really there for reporters to look over stuff, because that's what E3 is. It's a trade show,
yeah,
kind of thing. Whereas BlizzCon it's like an anime convention, but for like specifically Blizzard, and that's great for them, for the people who are really into that sort of thing.
Yep, 100%. Let's see. I'm going to start skipping a few things here. The Normandy is in No Man's Sky until like today. Did you not know about this? Did you not see this?
No, well, I saw the headline for it, but I didn't read it.
Yeah, like that is so weird where they like, there's like a mission that you can get in No Man's Sky, and the reward that you get for it is like the Normandy. from Mass Effect in your like armada of ships. I don't think you can go inside of it. Like, I think it's just kind of like a cosmetic thing. But it looks really cool. Like, it kind of fits in with No Man's Sky a little bit. Like, it's kind of cool. Kind of spiffy looking, but it's apparently a time limited thing as well. So you can do it up until May 31st by completing this expedition.
So that's literally the day after this comes out.
Yes.
This podcast comes out.
So if you want that, you can jump into No Man's Sky. I still haven't gone back really to No Man's Sky, even with the PlayStation, the ray tracing and all that stuff. I probably should, but I got other things. I don't need a game that big. The game's too big for me. I'll stick with Subnautica. Not a game where you have to collect resources and then use them to make upgrades. And hold on. Speaking of
more penguins in it or whatever.
Yeah, those fucking crazy top head penguins. It turns out that the only way to get the wolf fur that you need to make the cold suit is you got to build a little robotic penguin, and then you can remote control drive it up to the big wolf monsters and grab the fur off of them, and then you can bring it back and you get the fur out of that. I couldn't figure out. I had to look it up. I was like,
so weird.
I was like, I've got all this armor and stuff. I'm just going to go over there. I've got a mech suit. I'm just going to punch this wolf until he's dead and then take his fur. And then the game was like, nope, you can't have the fur if they're dead. And I was like, what do you want from me, game?
That makes no sense, though.
Yeah, you got to use the wind-up penguin in order to get the fur from the wolves to make the cold suit, so you could get on top of the
rob the Batman or whatever.
Yep. Let's see. In other space news, apparently the Elite Dangerous put out their Odyssey expansion, which is the one where you can go down to the planet, you can get out, you can walk around. Apparently, it's a huge ass buggy mess. Like a real piece of shit that doesn't run very well, and it's $40. It's getting like hugely review bombed on Steam. And last week, the CEO of Frontier came out and basically issued an apology, saying like, "Yep, we fucked up. This wasn't good. We're gonna fix it." The end. But so yeah, if you're into,
hopefully they mean it.
Elite Dangerous, I mean, the Elite Dangerous community is pretty, like, they haven't done anything that I feel like would be considered terrible at this point, right? So I would trust them to get their shit together, because it's not like they've been bilking their customers for crap. Let's see. I'm going to skip a few of these over. Speaking of PC games, Uncharted 4 is apparently going to be the next... This is actually really big news. Uncharted 4 is going to be the next PC release from Sony. So we had Horizon Zero Dawn, we had Days Gone, and apparently the next game they're going to be putting on the PC is Uncharted fucking 4.
You're doing it, Drake back.
Yep. Oh yeah, the mods. Oh, the mods. Oh, the mods.
Fucking great. I can't fucking wait.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, it seems a little weird that they would put Uncharted 4. Like, I feel like they would start with the Uncharted collection, right? And then put Uncharted 4 out, because PC people literally don't have any way to see the story up until Uncharted 4. So, like, question mark?
That's really weird. Yeah, that's really weird.
But yeah, I mean, I think it would even make more sense for them to put the what was the spin-off game, the one with Chloe and the girl from 4.
I can't remember the subtitle for it.
Yeah,
I want to say Legacy or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But that would make more sense to me than this. But apparently there was another.
It's the only Uncharted game I never played outside of the Vita one.
4?
No, the spin-off one.
Oh, right. The one whose name, God fucking damn it.
That one and the Vita one I never played, because I didn't have a Vita, so I couldn't play the
Vita one. Sucks.
Vita one. And it introduced a character that is not in any of the other games, which I thought was funny as hell.
Yeah.
So they're like, Drake has a sister, and then she just doesn't exist in anything outside of that.
The Lost Legacy. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would have expected that even more. But yeah, so congratulations, I guess, to you PC people. You getting all these PlayStation games? You know what? The big thing is, I feel like if I was a PC, like a hardcore diehard PC guy, and this shit was all happening, and it's like, that's fucking great, Sony. What about Bloodborne? God damn it! Like,
that's true. A lot of people want Bloodborne outside of that. Same with a lot of people who want Spider-Man. But this is, I don't know what they're gonna do with some of these games. So this is a surprise one, to be honest.
I mean, like, at this point, both Bloodborne and I think it's too early for them to even consider putting that PS5 Demon Souls remake out on the PC. Because that's like, it's one of like 3 games that you would buy a PlayStation. Like if you needed like a reason to buy the PS5 outside of like future proofing your gaming experience, like what is it? It's like Demon Souls, Miles Morales.
Well, even then you can get Miles Morales on the PS4.
Astro's Playroom.
Astro's Playroom, yeah. Well, we know Ratchet and Clank's coming out soon. Returnal. Is one of the only other ones that's on there.
Yeah.
And what there's another one, but I can't remember what it is. But I think it also came out on PS4 as well, which was Bugsnax.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, it's still good to have a next-gen system because all the PS4 games run better and load faster and all that shit. But
absolutely, I'm spoiled. I'm absolutely spoiled now.
When I was trying to decide whether to buy Village on the PS5 or the Xbox Series X, I went and looked it up, and it was like apparently the resolution is slightly better on the Series X, but the load times are like 10% of the load time on the Series X on the PS5, and I was like, well, I die a lot and do stupid shit, so we want the one that loads real fast. I don't want to have to wait for load times.
I didn't even notice load times half the time when I play that game.
Yep, it's pretty crazy. Let's see. Speaking of Resident Evil, Netflix is apparently going to be getting harder core into the making video games department. In fact, there was actually a Netflix spokesperson kind of saying that they felt like they wanted to maybe move towards the streaming a la xCloud Stadia stuff, which would seem like it would be a better solution for them. But then I feel like they're still so focused on getting like games based on their properties. But then when you think about it, Michael, it's like, but they have Castlevania. Could Netflix get a deal with Konami to make a spin-off Castlevania game that was only available to play on a streaming Netflix game platform? Question mark? Is that a thing? Is that something?
How would that even work is the only thing. It's like, how do you make something like that work? I don't know. Especially with the way Netflix is.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, like Netflix is producing that Splinter Cell anime. Like, is there
I did not know that.
Is there a Netflix tie-in Splinter Cell game? Question mark?
I don't know. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird. Anyway, less weird is that Dying Light 2 finally has a release date. I don't know if did you get a chance to watch this trailer, Michael?
No, in fact, I forgot Dying Light 2 was still a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I think the last time they showed it was like at E3 2018 or something like that.
Yeah, they announced this thing fucking ages ago.
But yeah, it looks really good. Like it looks like Dying Light. It's got the whole big like kind of thing for this is that you can join up with different factions, you can make different choices, and then those choices will affect like objects in the world, bases that are open to you, things like that. But the whole thing looks really nice. Dying Light 1 was fucking amazing. Like for anybody who doesn't know that, Dying Light 1 was a really, really good game. Dying Light 1 was what Dead Island wanted to be, and all those fucking Dead Island spinoffs, and none of them were as good as Dying Light. Like,
yeah, it was one of those games that like I think kind of flew under the radar for a bit because people were kind of zombied out, I think, at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, apparently like everybody really liked this one, and they made some DLCs for it that apparently were really good too.
Yep.
Kind of thing. And it's the fact that they got a sequel is really good.
Yep.
And Dead Island 2 never fucking appeared.
I really wanted to play Dead Island 2. One fucking trailer.
That's one. Yeah.
But yeah, this looks, I mean, I don't know. I think it looks really good. Like it looks really fast and frenetic, and it's got, kind of first person action combat with the big weapons, and it's got the day-night cycle thing where at night, like the zombies are a lot more aggressive. There was a point in this trailer, I don't know if this actually was a thing that happened in the first one. I feel like the sun would go down and you would just be in the middle of something, and then you'd be like, fuck, I have to get back. I have to find somewhere safe to go. So you would parkour your way to somewhere safe. But like here they're talking about how like at night there'll be these areas that are inaccessible during the day because it's where the zombies are hibernating, and then at night they all come out of those bunkers, and so you can sneak into those bunkers to get like high risk high rewards only in the nighttime when everything is way more difficult and way more deadly. So
it's really cool. It definitely gives you a reason to want to go out at night.
Yeah,
I bet you a lot of people in the first one were like, no, I'm just not going to go.
I mean, I think there might have been reasons to do it. I just can't remember. It's been a long time since I played it. But you know what? Maybe I'll play it again, because one of the other things that they announced is that they're putting out the Platinum Edition of Dying Light that has all of the DLCs and then like more, which a lot of people forget. Michael, do you see the skeletons getting punched here? Did you know what's...
Yeah.
Do you know what this is?
No, actually.
Yeah. So Dying Light had that company was working on another game that was like a first-person action game that was called, let's see if I can figure it out here. I always forget. Hell Raid. And it was originally going to be like a spin-off game, but then they put it inside of Dying Light as like an expansion that I think you like play through like an arcade game or something, and it's like a first-person medieval combat game based on the Dying Light engine. Dying Light is fucking great. Like, you guys should go play Dying Light if you haven't. Like, it's actually a lot better than it has any right to be, and it's like kind of a cool story, and like I don't know, it's just it makes me want to go play it again.
Well, that's good. Yeah, it was one of those games that I remember when it came out, no one really talked about it, and then all of a sudden, just everybody was talking about it one day.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. And then we have a release date for Dying Light 2, which is in December, actually. December 7th, I believe.
Okay.
So we also got an 8-minute long look at the Dark Pictures anthology House of Ashes, which I believe was teased last week. This is this year's Dark Pictures anthology. It appears to be like a bunch of military dudes are going out to do some military stuff, and then they fall down in these catacombs. And it you know what, Michael, I assume that since this was 8 minutes long, you didn't get a chance to watch all of this before we started.
That's not part of it.
But like,
not the whole thing.
The vibe I get from it is it's very much like The Descent mixed with Aliens, because it's like underground chuds, but then like also a bunch of military dudes like fucking close that hallway, he's hurt, get a suture on that guy, kind of that sort of thing. I don't know. I think it actually gives you like some interesting potential points of contention for this kind of narrative based story. So
yeah,
I just hope it works out better than the Little Hope, because Little Hope didn't do it as much for me. But it's like this whole
out with these pretty quickly, so it's kind of amazing.
It's one a year, right? But yeah, there's a really harrowing part in this trailer where they have to like staunch the wounds on this guy that they find like hung up, and there's some really cool stuff in here. I'm hoping that this one kind of gets a little bit back on track, and I like it more. But I put this trailer in just for you, Michael.
Yeah.
Gentle Criminal and La Brava are coming to My Hero 1's Justice 2 as DLC, which it only is exciting to you and me and nobody else.
I love Gentle Criminal so goddamn much. He's just the fucking best.
Yeah. It looks really fun. Actually, I was also looking at like all the goddamn DLC that's being hawked in this 5th DLC costume pack celebration wear, which isn't even something from the show. It's just like a bunch of fancy suits for everybody to wear. That's
how they get you.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know what it is with animes and people in suits, but like that shit happens in like all the time for no reason. Like in just art. It's never like part of the actual thing. It's just people have suits on for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah. This isn't about to make me go back and play My Hero 1's Justice, but it is exciting and I like it. And I don't know. It's fun. And then last on the trailer parade this week, we got a weapons showcase from Shadow Warrior 3. I am not going to go through all this, but I will say that it all looks fucking awesome. It looks so awesome, so incredible, so much fun, so much blood, so much gore. Oh, I can't wait to play this game.
Pretty too.
Yeah, I love the on the handgun. They have this like mod that's like it was on a different one where it was like when you do headshots, it like pops their heads into these little like bombs or something like that. It's great. Popping heads.
Yeah, popping heads. It's a very exciting time for like weird shooters again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited about that.
Yep. See, guys, that you heard it. Where's my Rise the Triad remake? Come on, Rise the Triad. Put that back out again. It's being weird. All right, so we have a few more things here. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. There was also a Pokemon thing. I apologize for not covering it, but like, guys, I don't know shit about Pokemon. All right, so like,
gotta catch them all or whatever.
Yeah.
There's all you gotta say. Boom, we covered it.
There's some shit with Pokemon Go. But yeah, the Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Pokemon Shining Pearl have a release date. So November 19th. Those remakes will be coming out. You can pre-order them. That's all I'm going to say from this one. We got some kind of like waffly news. There's a weird thing. CKY is a band. The drummer is Jess Margera, who is Bam Margera's relative. And like they were talking to him in an interview, and they said that there's probably going to be another Tony Hawk Pro Skater game. Whether that's a new game or whether that is like they're going to remaster Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 like they did 1 and 2 is unclear at this point. But apparently there is more Tony Hawk on the horizon. Everything old is back. It's all back and new again.
It's coming back, guys.
Yep.
Tony Hawk is young again.
I just talked about Shadow Warrior. Now we're fucking talking about Tony Hawk Pro Skater. It's like 1998 over here. Like, I don't even know what's going on.
Tony Hawk has one of my favorite Twitters of all time. Because it's just him talking about people not recognizing that he's actually Tony Hawk. It's so fucking funny.
That is funny. Let's see. BioShock apparently is... I'm going to skip over this. BioShock 4 apparently is getting shifted to Unreal Engine 5. This is...
Are they still doing a BioShock 4?
Yep, they're still early on in development for that, but this is just one of those like job listings are now asking for people with Unreal Engine 5.
The twist is it takes place on land.
Yeah, that's right. The Crysis Twitter account is teasing something that might be Crysis Remastered 2, so we might be getting that at some point.
That's kind of neat.
And then last but not least, we got a couple of these. Warhammer is putting out a streaming service. I wasn't entirely sure whether to keep this in the news, but apparently they're going to have their own specific streaming service for Warhammer video content, and that's confusing to me. It seems like they just want to get bought by somebody, right? Like
there definitely is what that sort of thing is. Because that's the goal a lot of times when making apps and stuff nowadays. Is to make something that people want enough that somebody will buy you out. Yeah,
I think it's just like what you show that enough Warhammer 40K nerds will buy. It's like what DC Online was like its own thing, or DC Universe. Yeah,
and then they got bought out, and then now they're part of HBO Max essentially. And people buy Warhammer shit in droves.
Yep.
So this could be big if they have something that's worth watching. That's really the thing.
Yeah, I didn't get the impression that there were enough Warhammer video projects in development to fill up a streaming service.
Start with like 5 things probably.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And last but not least, because apparently at the end of all the news is where I put the mods from Resident Evil. There was a video last week where somehow a Bloodborne modder managed to mod Lady Dimitrescu into Bloodborne and then made her fight Lady Maria in the expansion. Now, the problem here is that they modded her in, but they couldn't make her tall. So she's just regular size, and also she's just running like a really basic moveset, so she's not really fighting in a very cool Bloodborne style. She's just kind of like hacking away with her big claws. I think this might be the Beast Claw moveset. Because also, like Bloodborne, right? Not your most modded game of all time because it's literally...
Yeah.
console exclusive, but
it's kind of amazing that they were able to get that to work. And I don't know, That's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's just this video made me realize that Lady D really she really loses something when she's not fucking 9 feet tall, right? When she's like a regular sized person.
That character it's fascinating how well Capcom hid a lot of the plot to Resident Evil 8 by just throwing a giant lady at the internet.
Interesting. Well, don't
nobody because that's the thing about the game is that she's kind of the tip of the iceberg, and it's fascinating to me that nobody questioned it just because they're sexy tall lady.
Well, the thing is that it makes sense when you think about it. Like when you think about Mr. X and Nemesis and the fact that you have these big enemies that kind of follow you through the entire game, that you would think she's the big enemy that follows you through the entire game. But and I definitely don't want to go into details because I'm not that far in the game, but it definitely seems to me like there's an early on point where they show you what is essentially a gallery of potential bosses. And it's well, there's more than just this one character. Because in Resident Evil 3, it's kind of just all Nemesis all the time. There's that big worm, I guess, that you fight at one point. Is that Nemesis? Was Nemesis turned into a giant worm? I don't remember.
Think that's Nemesis, but it's been a while.
I feel like every boss fight in RE3 was just Nemesis. Again, another Nemesis fight. Which, I mean, I think you fight Mr. X. You don't fight Mr. X through the entirety of RE2. You end up fighting...
he shows up halfway through.
Who's the person you do end up fighting? Is it one of the researchers that turns into
Yeah.
Or wait, is that Mr. X?
What's her name's dad?
Oh, right.
Because he was a scientist and all that shit. And
I mean, think about
he's the main boss for that game.
In RE7, you fight Jack all the way through that entire game. He just keeps coming back and back and back. So
he's hunting you a lot through that game.
It's actually there's probably more RE games that have if not the final boss, but just somebody who chases you through the game more often than not. I guess 4, 5, and 6 didn't.
Yeah, because there's 2, 3,
7.
I don't remember if there's there's a guy in 6. There is a guy in 6, but he pops up every now and then. Because the reason I remember that because there's it's one of the bigger boss fights in the game.
Is it the
6 that's like that?
Is it the guy when you're playing as Wesker's kid that shows up?
Yeah, but he also shows up in some of the other ones, but he shows up the most in the Wesker one.
Okay.
Wesker Kid one. But yeah, there's somebody.
I know he doesn't have. I know that 4 doesn't really have that because you've got the little guy and Krauser and I guess there's the Rasputin guy, right? He's kind of like the big bad in RE4.
The chainsaw guy. But I don't really.
But he's just
count that.
He's just one guy. Yeah, you kill him and then he's dead. Well, you know what? Holy pajamas, everybody. We have 25 minutes left. It's all questions. You ready?
Crazy Town Banana Pants.
Yep. I cut out. I told you. I killed a lot of my news babies this week so we could do some questions.
Really
so yeah, all right. Well, let's start with. We'll split this up. Let's start with some email questions. We've got mailragesite.com is the email address. We got one from Claudia that came in a few weeks back that I liked. It was, hello, Jeff and Michael. I hope you and your dogs are doing all right. My dog is doing all right. I spent $400 to make sure my dog was all right. He's all right. It's fine. I just spent $400 to find that out, but it's fine. He's fine. My dog is fine. Oh, I was good. Okay, I was going to give you the opportunity to say that.
I was just going to. I just wasn't sure how long you were going to go.
Nobody is sure how long Jeff is going to go. The answer is forever. Claudia says, I've been watching some videos about the game Pathologic and its sequel/reboot Pathologic 2, and one of the ideas that most of them seem to share is that games don't have to be fun to be considered good, as in the theme of the game comes across better through the frustration it puts the player through rather than rewarding progress. I was wondering if you have any thoughts on that. Personally, I think games should be fun regardless of whether they're good or not. But then again, I'm the one who spent an hour just walking on a frozen river in the long dark, so what the hell do I know? Take care, and that's from Claudia. What would you say, Michael, is the least fun game you have played all the way to completion?
That's a tricky one. because a lot of times I try not to play games like that.
Yeah.
For the most part. This is going to sound kind of weird, only because I still really like this game, which was Death Stranding, because Death Stranding has a very weird opening, and it was like I was okay with it, but there's a lot of the opening and a lot of parts of the game that aren't exactly like fun.
Yeah.
Because of the way it works. But like you were saying, the themes of the game as well as the plot kept me going into the funner parts kind of thing, because eventually the game opens up in a way that does become really fun, as well as a lot of other things that you can do that can make the game a lot easier and a lot funner because of it. But I get what he means, because Papers, Please is a good example of that. It's not really a fun game. It's a thing that you're just like bup bup kind of thing, but the themes of the game get you through it, that sort of thing. But it's not those aren't the types of games that I find myself playing, but I get why people really love them.
Yeah, I think the game that probably falls the closest into this category for me is probably like Spec Ops, the line, which even before you start to get into like the real kind of like the white phosphorus and all that stuff that happens later on in the game, like even just playing the game is kind of a slog. Like it's not necessarily like it's not made like Call of Duty, right, where it's like very fun and visceral. It's more of just like kind of pushing and progressing and doing stuff, and that sort of thing does eventually kind of put you in a mindset where you're just like kind of going through the motions, and then suddenly it's like, yeah, here's a mortar, shoot this white phosphorus, and you're just like, oh, I'm history's greatest monster. And I wasn't even thinking about what I was doing there. I've watched a lot of videos about Pathologic. I've listened to a lot of podcasts about Pathologic. I get what Pathologic is doing, but like, I don't know. Have you, let's see. Let me put it like this, okay? I watched Grave of the Fireflies when I was younger. I watched it once. I will not watch it again because it was an interesting thing to watch once, but it was not fun. It was it was a bad time.
Do you feel like so much shit after that movie's over?
Yeah. And I'm not above feeling like with games that make you feel frustrated or bored or like frustration's really like the biggest one. The problem is that the issue that I have with a lot of these games is that like life is very frustrating, and I play games generally to escape from that into a place that is not about frustration. So like, I also don't watch like 5-hour Russian movies about the existential nature of being, which are not bad. It's just not what I want out of a movie. Like,
no, yeah, that's a great example. It's a great comparison too, because there are plenty of movies out there that are just like, this is depressing the movie kind of thing, and then you're like, well, that was depressing as fuck, but the themes of it were really interesting. I'm never gonna watch it again, kind of thing. But like the themes are very interesting. And there are some games that will do stuff like that. There's some games that a lot of them they tend to be kind of indie related. Like a good example is Gone Home. I think is a good example of something like that, where it's just like it's not particularly a fun game because you're just walking around looking at shit, and then but the whole like discovering what's going on throughout it is interesting enough to get you through a lot of it. And sure, the actual like reveal is just like, well, your sister's gay. It's like, well, that's neat, I guess, but like the presentation was enough to get you through it. But you're never going to play it again because it's like, well, that was like, there wasn't really any point. Like you don't feel like there's a point to it. But like the theme of not being understood, I guess, is there. I guess I'm like I said, I'm guessing on that one because I only played it the one time and I didn't really care. But there's plenty of games like that. Like what was that one that you guys, the Dragon's Cancer?
That Dragon Cancer? Yeah.
That Dragon Cancer. That's another example of just like the themes of like you get where they're coming from, but also like fuck this thing kind of thing. You don't want to deal with that.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing for me personally is that, and I think that this might, I don't know if this is a common thing. It might be. It very much might not be. Is that like when I was younger, when I was like 17, 18, and into my 20s, like my early 20s, I had a much higher tolerance for watching like very abstract, artsy movies, reading like challenging and strange like books. Like do you know House of Leaves? Do you know what that book is?
No, but I think I've. Well, no, I actually couldn't say I have.
It's Daniel something. Do you know the singer Poe from the 90s? You remember Poe?
Vaguely.
Angry Johnny. Anyway,
yeah.
Probably you were a child and I was a teenager, but Mark Z. Daniel Wesky wrote this book called House of Leaves. It's a very strange book. It's about this guy. It's actually about a guy telling a story about a people who found a door in their house that leads to like this incredibly impossible like structure underground, and like as the book goes on, like it'll do things where like on the page, I wonder if they have in the images if they show like what the pages look like, because it'll do stuff like this where the page just starts writing over itself, or like it'll turn the text, and a lot of it is to give you a sense of the people losing themselves, of them getting lost in this maze, getting lost in their own thoughts. There's subsections where it's like there'll be huge sections that are struck through, or there'll be like footnotes where it's like one sentence and then the footnote goes on for 4 pages and then it goes back to offset you. And like, you know, I read that when I was younger and I really liked it. I might not be able to put up with it right now because the older I get, the more I'm just like, no, I get it. This is your art and you're expressing yourself. I just don't want to consume that. Like I've done my stint with the artsy and the fartsy, and I like some of it. But sometimes, like I watched, I feel like this is a thing that comes up a lot when I interact with one of us, is that everybody, actually, no, it's not true. It's not true, Michael. My entire life, ever since I went to college and went to art school, and ever since I came out of art school, everybody's always trying to fucking figure Jeff out. They're trying to put baby in the fucking corner, man. They're trying to be like, oh, I know what you like. You like John Wick. And I'm like, I watched The Father last week. And they're like, what? Why? And I'm like, because Anthony Hopkins is amazing. And it's a very artistically shot movie that made me feel a lot of things. And they're like, but you like John Wick. And I'm like, but I don't only like John Wick. I just, I like some things. And sometimes the mood strikes me and I want to watch we need to talk about Kevin. And we'll just watch Tilda Swinton be miserable for fucking 2 hours. But on the other hand, I've never seen Holy Motors, and I don't want to because everybody keeps telling me how fucking genius it is, and I'm like, nope, not gonna do it. Not interested in Holy Motors. I'll watch somebody else talk about Holy Motors online. So the thing with Pathologic is that if Pathologic had come out when I was younger, I probably would have had the stamina to play through it. But at this point, there are so many games, and I know what I want to play, that like I'm not in the mood for a lot of the very, very. But even that's not true. You and I had nothing but a good time playing a fucking Airport for Aliens run by dogs, which was an experimental art project, crazy fucking wackadoodle. Also this week, I played that Mind Scanners game with Amanda that was like a dystopian cyberpunk fucking brain, like, Papers, Please. And I liked that too. It's just, I know Pathologic, and Pathologic is the kind of game where if you fuck up on day 2, you may not know it until day 12, but then you're just fucked, and you have to start over because you didn't manage your resources correctly. And like that's the kind of thing that I don't truck with as a thing. Like Nier is almost too much in that category for me to do it. Like there was one side quest that I did not do in Nier, Michael. It was where you had to grow flowers for 2 days, like 2 real-time days, and you had to grow flowers, and then you got the seeds from the flowers and planted those and waited another 2 days for those flowers, and those flowers would give you a chance of getting the seeds that you needed to finish this quest. So I did it, and I didn't get them the first time, so I replanted them because I had all the seeds, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go do some other stuff. I'll do whatever. I'm come back in a few days and figure it out. What I didn't know was that if you don't come back in 2 days, if you wait 3 days, then your plants not only bloom, not only drop their seeds, but then the seeds rot and you don't get anything from them. It's just ruined. And you can go fuck yourself, Yoko Taro, because I'm not going to be chained to a clock. I'm not playing Farmville over here to find out about your fucking, like, you know, what is humanity? What does humanity really mean? I'll tell you what it means is that someday I'm going to die and I'm not going to spend days trying to get the fucking RNG on your flowers to make that one lady in the fucking Sandtown happy. That is a bridge too far, my friend. Boo.
I think that's a good example of exactly what he means, though.
Yeah.
Like, just like, fuck, man.
Yeah. And I get it. I get it. But let's see. Bruno writes in and says, hello, Masters of Rage. Bruno here. So since nobody knows when you'll read this, I wanted to ask a couple of random and hopefully short questions. A few weeks ago, when you played Star Wars Republic Commando, that'll tell you how old this is, you asked us, the audience, what was our favorite Star Wars game. In the early 2000s, I had a game called Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, which was basically Age of Empires 2, reskinned with Star Wars shit, and I loved it. So did you ever come across this game? Have you heard of it? If not, could there be a small chance of 1 in a million that I could see it on a dojo see it on Dojo? 2, if you could do a crossover like Aliens vs. Predator or Godzilla vs. Kong, but with 2 different book series that you've read, which 2 books would you choose? Thanks for reading my questions. Keep up with the amazing content. Bruno. I do know about Galactic Battlegrounds. The problem, Bruno, I'm sorry to say, is that I fucking hate Age of Empires. I hate it so much. There's like 6 different resources. It's like StarCraft, except there's 6 different resources that you have to get. There's this fucking horrible tech tree, and the fucking guys swarm in. I tried playing it a few times, and I was like, this is just fucking Age of Empires with a Star Wars skin on top. And I don't like Age of Empires. Who knows? Maybe there's a good game in there, and I'm just too blind to see it. But did you Age of Empires? Did you age some empires, Michael?
No,
no,
definitely not. Especially those types of games. You know me well enough to know I just fucking am not good at any of those kinds of games.
Yeah. So what do you think about crossovers? Aliens vs. Predator, Godzilla vs. Kong, but it's books. I would say I know that that you don't read like a million books, maybe comics. Or
the thing is that like there's plenty of those in existence. I'm trying to think of like books that I've read that I think would be fun to mix together, kind of thing. Like Dexter comes to mind. So it's like, what would I throw him into, kind of thing.
I want
Dexter versus Sherlock Holmes. That would be fucking weird.
Wait, what was it?
Is it Dexter versus Sherlock Holmes?
You know what? We never got a chance. I think you weren't on the podcast. I never got a chance to ask you how excited you were about the re-release of those Ace Attorney throwback games that were announced like a little while back, right? Like I was like, oh, Michael's gonna fucking love this shit because they were. Did they ever come out in the U.S.?
You were talking about the Great Turnabout? Yeah. No, it never did. That's what was so exciting about it. One of the reasons is the reason that guy's name is the way it is Sherlock Holmes.
Oh God,
his name.
Because
like that's also an Easter egg because another guy that was Lupin the Second, I think.
Okay.
There's a book that the guy had wrote where like it was supposed to be versus Sherlock Holmes, but he didn't want to get sued, so he called him Sherlock Holmes.
Okay.
And so they were like, well, let's do the same thing, and so they did the exact same thing, where they changed Sherlock Holmes' name to Sherlock Holmes. So it's like, and so I think that's amazing. But
the olden days where you could just be like, it's not Sherlock Holmes, it's Sherlock Holmes. They're obviously totally different, and they're just like
completely different people.
He got us, guys. He got us. This ironclad. There's no way for us to get around that. No court would convict in our favor. He's Sherlock Holmes. Obviously, that's a different person.
Completely different. He's got a mohawk and he's in a wheelchair. You can't sue us.
Did I tell you? I went back last week and watched a whole shitload of the like season 8, 9, and 10 of Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
No, you did not tell me that. I started watching some of it too. God damn.
It's so It's always the same show. I like that when they go to the Aqua Unit Patrol and it's like they have the first episode where they're supposed to be detectives and Frolic is just like, this is stupid. Let's go back to what we used to do. And then they just go back to just shitting on each other.
It's always just Aqua Teen Hunger Force, but they just keep changing the title and getting a new intro and everything.
Except they had that one episode. Was it in Unit Patrol? Was it the end of Unit Patrol where it's like suddenly they were all spies running the long con on each other and like Carl's in on it. There was like there was like a napkin guy that they they faked his death in the Middle East before they went undercover and. All the cars turned into like James Bond fucking scuba cars. It was so weird.
I remember that one. That was a crazy episode. There's a lot of episodes that are just like crazy as shit. I think it was their 100th episode where like they're doing different types of like the show. Like there's a Scooby Doo. Fun in the middle of it.
That the one that has the live action.
No, that's a different one. That's because there's just a straight up live action one. This one was one where they actually do like different things in the middle of it.
Oh, okay.
But my favorite part is that there's a part where Dana Snyder is talking to an executive and he's like, yeah, once we hit 100 episodes, I get syndication, we get more money, right? They're like, well, no, because since you're 15-minute episodes, you have to do 200 for it to be 100. And like, because I think apparently that might have been an actual like conversation they had or something, so they were just like venting about it kind of thing or something like that. That's what I heard. I'm not sure how true that was, but like it was a whole thing.
Oh man. I'm gonna go with H.P. Lovecraft versus Edgar Allan Poe. That's my book showdown. Frank Herbert versus anybody. Take Frank Herbert, cross him over. Just watch him kick what's his face's ass.
Ooh, I got one. Romeo and Juliet and the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
There you go. It'd
be fucking ridiculously weird and amazing.
Yeah, that's better. Douglas Adams versus whoever. Let's see. Kate Josie writes in on the Discord server and says, "Dear Jeff and Michael, I just moved out of a toxic roommate situation. It's me and my girlfriend again. Already a burden has been lifted from us as well as our non-toxic ex-roommate. The toxic roommate moved in with his awful girlfriend in Dallas. That's good. That's always good when that happens. You're just like, yep, you go for it. Go to Dallas. Do that shit in Dallas. What qualities of life did you notice improving after your toxic roommate situation was resolved? I, my girlfriend, and my other roommate feel happier, less confined to a certain room, cleaner living, less on edge. I kind of feel the friendship with my ex-roommate is over because of several things that happened. They turned into someone who didn't make you feel good about being around them. Thanks for wonderfully entertaining content." And that is from Kate Josie. Michael, you recently got your own place.
Yes, I now live on my own. I don't have to deal with a roommate anymore. And the quality of living is great because A, I don't have to worry about them changing the thermostat on me randomly. B, I don't have to worry about them asking me things while I'm playing a game in the middle of a cutscene that I'm not sure will skip if I hit the start button, kind of thing. See, all of the mess is mine. Like, if there's a mess of some kind, it's on me, so I can't blame anybody for it, and it's easier to clean because it is just my mess. It's not like another person having cooked like 4 or 5 things and not having cleaned anything. Like, it's if there's more than 2 pans in there, it's because I didn't clean, and it feels much easier and easier to deal with because it's like, well, this is my fault. Like, I don't have, like, you don't have anybody to blame other than yourself. And it's just nice. Like, it's nice to have your own actual space and decorate everything yourself instead of having to work around other people's stuff is the other thing, which I'm still looking into to actually like getting a little more stuff hung up. But I'm thinking of trying to get frames for stuff this time around. But I would have to find out, maybe frame stuff. Like I just got a bookshelf that I built from IKEA. I'm trying to see if I can maybe get a different desk because right now I'm using what was literally just another dining table as my desk kind of thing. Like, it's not like a giant dining table, but it's big enough that it takes up enough room in my living room. And I'm hoping that once that's cleared out, then I'll be able to get a couch or something, like get more chairs for people to be in, that kind of thing. Like, there's enough room that I feel like I could probably get away with more stuff if I organize better. And I think it's freeing because of it, because it's all on me, and like they said, you don't feel confined anywhere because there's the thing about with my roommate was I felt like I was confined in different areas because of the fact that he was always, because his computer was in the living room, so it was harder to do stuff in there because he would be doing something in there, or it was harder for me to play games because he was in there doing something, and I couldn't just like focus on the game because he'd be like, "Hey, did you see the thing or whatever?" And I'm just like, "Fuck, dude, I'm trying to get through this cutscene," kind of thing. Or I couldn't get in the mood of stuff like there's like the way Resident Evil 8 is. I don't think I would have enjoyed Resident Evil 8 with a roommate because they would have been in the back being like, "What's that thing? What's the thing going on over there?" Like, well, that lady's kind of tall. It's just like, nah, fuck, dude. Like, it would have been that sort of situation. And I'm not saying it to be shitty about my roommate or my ex-roommate or something. It's just that, like, that's how people are sometimes when they don't know what's going on. Like especially if it's a plot-driven thing. Like I did that to him when he watched certain movies sometimes, but I tried not to. Only if I was going to sit down and watch it with him so I could get caught up. But with games, there's not really a reason to do that because he's not going to get caught up because he's going to fuck off somewhere else for a bit, and then 4 hours is going to pass, and he's still going to be the same thing kind of thing. Whereas, like, I feel more comfortable doing long gaming sessions because of it, and I feel more comfortable doing just long watch sessions of anything. Like, there's so much freeing with not having a roommate that was not really toxic per se, but just kind of like not even annoying, I guess. Like there were things that he was doing that I could say could be considered toxic, but that's a whole other thing.
The thing is that having a roommate, it's like the crucible of a personality test, right? Like any incompatibility, like there's a certain threshold, I feel like when you have a roommate, there's a certain threshold of incompatibility that you can deal with because you guys can all kind of like a lot of it though too. See, I'm not really entirely sure, Michael, because when I was younger and I had roommates, like I always made sure that my room, like for the most part, when I moved out on my own, my room had a futon, a television, game consoles, and a stereo in it. So it was like, if I got mad, I just went to my room, and it was like that was my one-bedroom apartment that I could live in, and I could kind of separate. But I don't know. I've had a couple of roommate situations that ended up being that ended up having some conflicts with, and the thing is that it's just being around another person, it's the same thing for relationships, man. Like you got to make sure that you're really compatible with the people that you're going to be around all the time, because if there's something that's off, right? Like if you like to make sure that the dishes are always clean and they don't mind filling up putting the water in their bowl that they ate their soup out of, letting it quote unquote soak overnight, and then you're just like, why are there dishes here? And then suddenly like that shit can go on and it can go on, it can go on, and then it can become a sort of thing where it becomes like I've told the story before about me and my old roommate who didn't talk to each other for 6 months because of a tube of saltine crackers. And it wasn't about the crackers, it was about the fact that I took them and didn't want to replace them, and I was like, I'll give you the money, I don't go to the grocery store, I'll give you the fucking $1. And it was like, it's not about that. It's about the fact that you took my shit. You have to replace it. And I was like, well, fuck you, bitch. I'm not going to do that. He's like, well, go to hell, asshole. And then we didn't speak to each other for 6 months, even though we lived in the same house. So, like, sometimes that shit can happen. And then after 6 months, it was just like, hey, you want to get drunk? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, let's go fucking get wasted. But it's
the tricky thing about roommates, is there's plenty. I've had toxic roommates before, and like I had one guy who was just the fucking worst, but he sort of just moved out randomly one day, and then things were fine for a bit. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one, but living on your own is great. Living with somebody that like is compatible is also fantastic, and I'm very happy for you guys.
Yeah. Living alone can also have its downsides, like when I was in when I was in my relationship previously, I didn't get nearly as mad about internet comments, because I just go and be like, man, you will not believe what this asshole said on the internet. And she'd be like, what'd they say? And I'd be like, this said I was stupid. They're like, well, you're not stupid. I'm like, I know, so why would they say that? And she'd be like, yeah, okay, do you want like a hug or something? I'd be like, yeah. And then I get a hug, and I'd be like, Okay. It's like, I don't care what the guy on the internet said. That was nice. Like, I can definitely say that there have been some stretches in my life living here in this house by myself, reading internet comments that, like, if I had had a roommate, it would have been beneficial to be like, can you believe what this guy said? And they'd be like, no, what'd they say? Yeah, fuck that guy. He sounds like an idiot. You're like, yeah, I know, right? And then, like, you go on with your life as opposed to just being like, my beard is not too short. I trim it. Look, I will get pictures on the internet of distinguished men with beards that are the exact same length that my beard is, and I will show you. You know what? I'm gonna go drink 4 beers. I'm gonna come back and talk to you about this beard shit. Early on in Rage Select, there were a lot of snitty Jeff comments left in the middle of the night that were gone by morning because, you just sitting there, especially back when the website had the Discus comments on it.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of characters. There's a lot of characters in there. Characters with a lot of character who love to just come in and fucking, ooh, I'm going to stir it up. I'm going to stir it up. And if you reply to me, I'm never going to, I always got to have the last reply. And so... I guess don't run a website if you live alone. Is that where I've gone to? Is that where I've come back to?
It's more just like don't run a website if, like, you have a lot of beer in your room at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I remember when I first started Rage Select. Actually, I think it might have been when I was working at Spill. There was one time where I was hanging out with Martin, and Martin was like, are you sure that this is the line of work that you want to be in? Just complaining about comment sections. And he was like, yeah, so like, maybe you should do something else, buddy. And I was like, no, they're wrong. I got to teach them how wrong they are.
Win, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not a quitter.
Anyway, now I just go watch anime. Let's see. We don't really have time, but we're going to do one more. IHH Hood writes in and says, Dearest Jeff and Michael, I am a fresh college graduate who has spent the past year living with my parents due to COVID, and I don't know how I'm going to readjust to the world once I move out and I've been vaccinated. How did you deal with a time in your life when you felt really lost about where you were going? Thanks and rage on. And that is from Mr. Hood. That's a difficult one. There's a lot of different answers there. I don't think there's like a...
It's a tricky one. I was depressed for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
is honestly the truthful answer for that, because when I lived in San Antonio, I got evicted from my apartment because I made terrible money choices, and I didn't tell my dad. I didn't ask my dad for help because I was stubborn, and it was on my record for like 7 years, which is one of the reasons I lived with my parents for so long. But for the first, I want to say a few years, I was just depressed. I was reading Wikipedia consistently. Like it was, I was in like,
is that a sign of
Wikipedia holes where like you click on something and then you end up somewhere else, and then like,
okay,
I did that for just days. It's one of the reasons I had so much comic book knowledge at one point. It wasn't just me reading comics.
Cut out on me there.
Reading the Wikipedia entries.
Uh-huh. What did you say? I'm sorry, you cut out on me for a second there.
Why? Okay. Yeah, I was saying it was one of the reasons I had a lot of comic book knowledge.
Okay.
Is because I was reading the Wikipedia articles on storylines.
Okay.
Because this was before I was reading like comics and like a lot, because I didn't have any money, so it wasn't really something I could do very easily. And so I was just nonstop on the internet. Like there was this old, I think I've told this story before. There was this old set of ads. I don't even remember what it was for anymore. I want to say it was either Bing or Google, where it was called Search Overload.
Okay.
Where with the gag was if somebody said something, they would start spouting off something they read on the internet.
Yeah.
All they did was search. I was that guy for like 2 years because my brain was just like full of random nonsense information. Yep. And then I started meeting everybody, I know now, kind of thing. Because even during those 2 years, I had my old high school friends, but they never visited me because I lived in Kyle. I didn't have a car, kind of thing. And they had their own shit because they were going to college. They were all at Texas State. They all had their new friends, that kind of thing. And then every now and then they would hang out with me if I was down there, kind of thing, or if one of them was willing to come get me, kind of thing. But it was a rough period for a while there, and then I started going to the ACC after. I forced myself to start doing something. Is I started going to college again, and then I got my license, and then after I got my license, I started meeting everybody I know now,
Mm-hmm.
including Jeff, as well as everybody else throughout everything else. And then, I wasn't really depressed anymore. I got my social skills back eventually because that took a while. Like, there was a point there. I still remember a night that I still kind of cringe at. It was still around the early time of me meeting everybody. Is that I had a friend who got into a real nasty car accident.
Mm-hmm.
He gained amnesia essentially from brain damage.
Wow.
And I was super depressed. The reason I cringe at it is because I went to the poorhouse because that's where everybody used to hang out for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran into everybody again because I was just there. I just wanted to blow off some steam, and I was one of the only places I knew in existence at that point because I didn't go out that often. And so I was there, and then somebody walked by me and noticed that I was there because they kind of, at that point, they vaguely knew who I was, kind of thing. And so they're like, "Oh, hang out with us or whatever." But I was super fucking depressed, and I was just saying depressing shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I cringe at this one thing I did with Randy because Randy was still going through his cancer stuff, and this is the reason I cringe about it so hard, is because I was like, "How's it going?" or whatever, and he's just like, through the cancer stuff, and I was like, "Well, at least you still have your memory," and he laughed at it. But then I went into a depressing rant about my friend who had amnesia.
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Ooh," and then I was like, "Man, I shouldn't have said that."
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that we've all done stuff, but I think you kind of hit on the most general, the best general advice for like how do you break out of a funk cycle is like do something.
Yeah.
Do something, and better than just doing something, leave the house and do something. Like, especially with this COVID shit, right? Like, what's like?
Oh yeah.
One of the biggest problems I think a lot of people have is just like, I've gone to the bar twice since I got vaccinated, and I have gotten way too drunk both times because I do not know how to function at a bar anymore. But you just got to go. You got to go and you got to do it. Like, here's the thing. Here's the secret. Here's the secret to life. You just have to do stuff. You're never going to be ready. You're always going to be bad at it. And then when you do it, you get better at it and better and better and better until it's fine. And like, that's everything. That's literally everything there is. Do you want to get better at being funny? You guys start telling shitty jokes, and then boo, everybody goes boo, and you're like, and you like try to do more, and then eventually it's fine. Or like, do you want to get good at ladies? You gotta go start talking to them, and they throw a drink in your face like on the Jersey Shore, and they slap you like in an 80s movie, and they're like, "You're so ugly, you're gonna die alone." And then eventually all those things have happened, and you're like, "Well, what's the worst that could happen? I just get slapped in the face again." And so you go up and you're just like, "Hey, how's it going? Do you maybe want to put your face on my face?" And they're like, "That's bad. You shouldn't do that." Or like, you got to play the guitar, and so you start, and then you're bad at the guitar, and then you get better at the guitar, and then you're good at guitar. Or like, oh, I want to learn how to play Dark Souls. You start, and you suck at it. You read a bunch of Wikipedia articles and fucking play with your friends, and then you get better at it. Like, everything in the world is you get better at it if you do it. And if you're stuck doing something, I know this sounds really stupid, but maybe it needs to just be said, is like, do something else. Like, start by just doing something different. Do you go for a walk at night? No? Do that. Go for a walk at night. I got a dog, and now I go for a walk like 3 times a day. I'm not unconvinced that just having to go for a walk 3 times a day is like, some good shit right there. Just go outside, walk around, and fucking listen to a podcast, clear your head, like put on some Anthrax and walk your dog around in the middle of the day. Or, go to Dairy Queen. When was the last time you went to Dairy Queen? Just go to Dairy Queen, get a Blizzard.
It's been a while since I've been to Dairy Queen.
Fucking sit in the parking lot. You know what you go to the store. You could go find like a store you haven't been to. You go like the stationery store. Look at all the paper. Just smell all the paper. You know what's a cool thing, Michael? Like, you know what, this is a cool thing. Everybody can do it because I did it one time and I don't want to do it a lot. But like, look in the phone book or Yelp or whatever you do and like see if your town has like an occult store, like a Wiccan store where they sell like crystals and sage and like spell books and like scarves and shit like that. And then just go there, drive there, get out of the car, walk in and like look at all the sage and shit they've got in there. That's kind of cool. Or like, you know, go to a food truck you haven't been to before. Like, just go somewhere and then just keep going places and don't stay at home, because the first step towards getting out of stuff is making things different than they are now. And the easiest way to make things different is to not sit in the same place where you are. Is you got to force them to be different. Like, go somewhere. Do something.
True. Yeah, if you feel lost, it's because you're just not just not doing anything. And I'm not saying that, like, I don't mean like that to be mean. It just means like just get out and start doing just anything random, and then eventually you'll find that you'll find yourself on a path, and you're just not sure. You're not even sure how you got to that path, but you'll be happy that you got to that path.
And I want to also be very, very, very clear that when I say do something, I don't mean like watch a different show on Netflix or sign up for like Crunchyroll or like I don't mean consume.
Also, don't murder. Just don't do murder.
Don't.
Also,
well, yes,
not a thing.
Yes. Just
murder's frowned upon.
I want to. You know, you talked about being depressed. I was very depressed in 2019. That entire year, I flushed that entire year down, basically streaming television and beer. Like, all I did is pre-pandemic was not leave the house, drink beer, watch movies, watch TV shows, play video games, just sitting on the couch every day in the same place, doing the exact same thing, and like. That's a recipe for nothing's gonna change. Nobody's gonna like kicking your door and be like, "You're a wizard, Harry." Like, you're just, if you sit on your couch and drink beer and watch Netflix, like, if you live alone, at least no one's gonna stop you. So like, you're just
Ready Player One's not gonna happen,
right?
You're gonna like all of a sudden be part of the pop culture wars or some shit,
right?
And a billionaire is gonna give you all of his money because you drove backwards in a video game.
Yeah, just go to the mall. Go to the mall. Go walk around. Or go like the outlet mall.
Rat. Just go for it.
Yeah. Or like go. You know what you could do if you have too much money? You could buy one of those stupid one-wheel skateboard things, right?
Oh, those things?
Yeah, those things. And you could just like, or maybe if you don't have enough money, you could buy one of those hoverboards like the kids have, and then just go outside and fuck around on that. I know I sound like an old man because everything is about going outside. So you don't have to go outside. This is Texas. We don't go outside. That's so you go to the mall, walk around in the air-conditioned mall, go to fucking the.
Well, just go out and eat, like, kind of thing. Like, you don't like go out and eat. Go to a comic book shop. Go to like anything that you have a hobby for.
Yeah.
Go out and find it instead of like ordering it online, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I go to Half Price Books a lot. It's one of the things that I do a lot to go out. At least pre-pandemic. Post-pandemic, I've tried a couple times here and there. I think recently I did, and I bought a Grant Morrison JLA thing, which I plan on reading later. But that's just one of those things. It's like, go get out as much as you can, even if it's just doing small things.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll be surprised how quickly that starts to clear your head, and the fact in the way that you'll find out what your next step is, just because you're going out and your brain's going to start thinking about stuff.
Yep,
it's interesting that way.
Listen to like the radio. Don't listen to like put on the radio instead of your phone and be like, "Oh, I remember that song. That was a stupid song. I hate that song." There's less commercials on the radio now because I feel like they're dying, and they know that if we play 2 songs and then a commercial, that nobody is they're just gonna hit play on Spotify on their phones, listen to fucking Doctor Who audio adventures instead of. So every so often I put on The Bat, the fucking 80s station here in town. I'm just like, oh yeah, My Sharona. I haven't listened to that song in fucking 1,000 years. So
yeah, I had to put it on not that long ago because my phone wasn't connecting to my Bluetooth. And I was just like, I guess I'll listen to the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just like, I don't like any of this.
Listen to old radio, not new radio. Anyway.
Well, I don't know. It was a whole thing.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We got questions. We got news. We did the whole thing. You guys know what's going on, and you know not to watch Army of the Dead. Michael, where can people find you on the internet when you're not here talking with me about going outside?
You can find me on oneofus.net, where I will talk about the many things I've learned over the years from reading Wikipedia articles.
There you go.
No, I'm just kidding. I do a lot of movie reviews and stuff. I did a Castlevania review not too long ago, as well as an Invincible review, and I'm going to record another review tomorrow for this international movie that's very weird.
All right. Fair enough. Look forward to that. And, remember, mail@ragesite.com is the email address. You want to send in questions. We don't get to answer them all the time. I'm trying to be better, though. You guys had faith this week, and look what happened. You got questions. So you just got to believe. Clap your hands. Clap your hands if you believe in Jeff. Clap them. Even as I fade out. Even as I fade out, the podcast is leaving. Even as the intro music is coming, keep clapping. Keep clapping. Keep clapping.